This year, we are going through a truly difficult winter. On one side, devastating fires rage, while on the other, freezing snow and fierce storms batter us. It's as if all of nature's fury has united against us. The cold, gloomy winter winds, snow-covered roads, and frozen trees paint a bleak picture. But the fires are just as destructive, spreading with an unstoppable force, turning the sky red and darkening the horizon. On one side, we fight for survival, while on the other, we feel our strength fading. The challenges seem unrelenting, and with each passing day, more anxiety and fear take hold of us. But this winter isn't just a storm in the outside world. It's a tempest in our inner selves as well. The weight of past years, our fears and uncertainties have made us feel lost and overwhelmed. Yet every challenge can reshape us. We continue to track an unprecedented and historic winter storm across the Gulf Coast and into the Southeast as it continues to drop heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain, creating significant travel issues across those areas. We're also tracking heavy snowfall in the Great Lakes with lake effect snow, as well as wildfires in Southern California. We'll update you on that, and we'll take a look at your early February outlook, including any more winter storms that could come along with it. So we've got a lot to talk about here. Make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest weather information. Follow along with my daily updates by subscribing, liking the video, and leaving comments, questions, and concerns below. Feel free to share this video on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's look at the past 24-hour snowfall reports as they continue to come in, and they will continue to move further east as well. So far, from the Houston area to Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans, we're talking widespread snow accumulations of 4 to 6 inches, with some areas in south central Louisiana getting 6 to 8 inches, and even 8 to 10 inches, 12 inches in places like the Lafayette area. Looking at the latest weather alerts across the Gulf Coast and Southeast, we have winter storm warnings extending from New Orleans and the southern parishes of Louisiana through southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, northern Florida, including the Florida Panhandle, south central Georgia, and the eastern Carolinas. Winter weather advisories in purple extend up to places like Atlanta, Columbia, South Carolina, Raleigh, and Charlotte, North Carolina. This evening, we expect heavy snow to break out across portions of the Gulf Coast through south central Georgia and into the central and eastern Carolinas. That's where the heaviest snow will be. We also have sleet and freezing rain indicated in orange, affecting areas like Savannah, Georgia, and Jacksonville, extending back toward the west to the Big Bend of Florida. As we move into the overnight hours, we'll see snow rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour push further into southeast Georgia and the central and eastern Carolinas. The closer you are to the coast, the heavier the snowfall will be, especially closer to the track of the low pressure system. By Wednesday morning, the storm will slowly move off the coast, but we'll still see lighter snow from Wilmington to Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and Savannah. Northern Florida, including Tallahassee, Gainesville, and Jacksonville, may experience a rain-snow mix or freezing rain early Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, the precipitation will move off the coast and we'll say goodbye to this unprecedented winter storm. Now, here are the additional snowfall accumulations we're monitoring over the next 24 hours. We expect 6 to 12 inches across North Florida, South Central Georgia, and South Carolina, especially closer to the coast from Charleston up to Myrtle Beach. These areas could average around 8 inches of snow. Up into North Carolina, including Wilmington, Jacksonville, and Cape Hatteras, we could see 5 to 8 inches of snow. We also need to keep an eye on potential icing with up to a tenth or two of an inch of ice in northern Florida, including Gainesville and Jacksonville Beach. This will continue to cause travel impacts in the Gulf Coast, Southeast, and up toward the Mid-Atlantic. Expect moderate to major travel disruptions in the orange and red shaded areas, including New Orleans, Mobile, Panama City, Savannah, Charleston, Columbia, Myrtle Beach, and Wilmington. As we move into Wednesday from west to east, snow and ice-covered roads should begin to be treated, and we'll see some melting thanks to the sun angle, even if it's still cloudy outside. Another area we're keeping an eye on is heavy lake effect snow in the Great Lakes, especially downwind of Lake Michigan and western lower Michigan. Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and Lake Ontario are also seeing very heavy snow bands, which will continue into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. By Friday, we could see an additional 2 to 3 feet of snow, adding to the already 4 to 8 inches of snow reported around western New York State. When it's all said and done, some areas like Watertown, New York, could accumulate a total of 6 to 8 feet of snow. We are also tracking a major Arctic blast that's starting to move further east on Wednesday morning. Low temperatures will be cold in parts of the Midwest, but the coldest air will settle into the Ohio Valley, Northeast, and Quebec. In Quebec, air temperatures will range 20 to 30 degrees below zero, and wind chills could reach 50 degrees below zero. Wind chills across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast could range from 20 to 30 below zero by tomorrow morning. However, by tomorrow afternoon, temperatures in the western Midwest should warm up a bit. The region into Nebraska, Missouri, western Illinois, and Kansas will see temperatures in the 30s and potentially the 40s. Wind chills will still be in the 20s, but we're expecting a nice jump in temperatures and feels-like conditions by tomorrow afternoon. As we move through the rest of the week, from Thursday into Friday, we'll start to see a moderating trend in temperatures across the middle of the country. However, colder air will persist further to the east. Temperatures will remain cold, with highs in the single digits and teens. This will continue into Friday with more widespread 20s in some areas. As we head into the weekend, temperatures will continue to moderate with a nice increase on Saturday and Sunday. By Saturday, the freezing line will reach up into the Midwest, and by Sunday, it will settle around the Midwest and Ohio Valley. It will still be cold, but not nearly as cold as we've been experiencing. With all this mild weather moving in, let's look at snow depth and accumulations for the weekend. The remnants of our unprecedented historic winter storm near the Gulf Coast and Southeast will begin to melt our snowpack. By early next week, around Monday and Tuesday, we'll say goodbye to the snowpack, especially in areas from Texas to Alabama and Florida. There may still be some snowpack left in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, but it will be melting by the middle of next week. Now let's visit Southern California, where we're seeing PDS, particularly dangerous situation, red flag warnings due to critical to extremely critical fire weather conditions. Relative humidity values will range between 0% and 10% tonight and continue at 5 to 10% on Wednesday and Thursday, even into Friday. Tonight, critical to extremely critical fire weather concerns will affect areas like Los Angeles, Oxnard, Santa Clarita, and San Bernardino. This will continue on Wednesday, though conditions won't be as critical. Elevated to critical fire weather concerns will persist from Oxnard eastward to Santa Clarita, Palmdale, Burbank, Ontario, and San Bernardino. This will extend down into Anaheim, Santa Ana, Riverside, and the greater Los Angeles area. On Thursday, fire weather concerns will still be elevated to critical, but there are currently no alerts for Friday. However, with relative humidity percentages still low, around 5 to 10%, we could see elevated to critical fire weather conditions as we approach Friday. Unfortunately, no rain is expected over the next few days in Southern California, particularly through Friday, January 24th. The drought will persist and conditions won't improve until later. Looking ahead to next week, the Climate Prediction Center's temperature outlook shows temperatures moderating in the northern U.S., including the northern plains, upper Midwest, and southern Florida. However, it will remain colder in the Northeast, New England, and the West, especially in Southern California and Arizona. Will also remain dry, particularly across Southern California, with Northern California being the driest compared to normal. This trend will stretch across the Rockies, especially the northern and central Rockies, and into the northern and central plains. In the Midwest and Ohio Valley, we may see some snow in the upper Great Lakes, affecting areas like northern Minnesota, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and northern lower Michigan. The subtropical jet stream from the eastern Pacific could bring another potential winter storm, though it won't be as severe as the one we're experiencing now. We could see heavier rainfall in the south from Oklahoma and Arkansas to Tennessee. Rainfall totals between 1 and 3 inches are possible, with some snow in the mountains of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and parts of the Oklahoma, Texas panhandle and Kansas. Some of this snow could be significant as we move into next week. Looking at early February from the 1st to the 8th, the cold will retreat further north, but it will remain close, especially in Western Canada. A ridge will develop in the south and southeast, bringing milder conditions there. It will still be cold in Alaska and Western Canada, including the Yukon, British Columbia, the Northwest Territories, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. Some of that colder air will bleed into the Pacific Northwest and Northern Plains. Meanwhile, milder conditions will extend further south and southeast, setting up an active storm track with the battleground of temperatures in a baroclinic zone. The colder temperatures will be to the north and northwest, with milder, warmer temperatures to the south and southeast. Our low pressure systems will track along this boundary, moving from the southern plains toward the Great Lakes and Midwest. As we move into the first week of February, we're expecting very active weather in the Pacific Northwest, which will bring heavy snow to the Cascades and northern Rockies. The storm track is expected to be quite active, reflected in both snowfall and precipitation in the first week of February. We'll continue to monitor and update you on the latest developments as changes are likely since we're still a couple of weeks out. These are just the general trends we're keeping an eye on. Look for Georgia and the Carolinas to experience a winter storm that's on the way. You might like this look, climatologically speaking, and sure enough, we have one approaching. Now, as for watches, warnings, and advisories, just a quick reminder that I'm still under the weather a bit. If you notice me sneezing or stumbling over my words, it's just because my nose is stopped up and I'm not 100%. But we're pushing through. We've had some changes out west. Blizzard warnings are now in effect in parts of the Gulf Coast region, including Beaumont, Lake Charles, and Lafayette. This is unreal. Blizzard warnings in places where it's never happened before. It's a first ever occurrence in this area, and I'm just blown away that it's happening now. Definitely send me reports if you can, whether through Facebook or other messages. I might not be able to respond right away, but I'd love to hear what's going on out there. In terms of the winter storm, we have winter storm warnings for northern Florida. As expected, Jacksonville has been upgraded to a winter storm warning, as well as Gainesville. Heading up the coast, winter storm warnings now extend all the way to just south of Atlanta, including Augusta, Georgia. We've had some upgrades in the Midlands of South Carolina, just south of Columbia, which may eventually see further upgrades from a winter weather advisory to a winter storm warning in the coming hours. Additionally, winter weather advisories stretch all the way up to Charlotte, and I expect we'll see some additional advisories in areas east of Raleigh, including Raleigh itself, which is currently under a winter weather advisory. From Savannah through Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and the Outer Banks of North Carolina, winter storm warnings are in effect. Winter weather advisories extend into Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and even the southern parts of Maryland. It's unreal to see this unfold, but it's happening right now. As we move forward, let's take a look at the latest model data. I think the high resolution rapid refresh model is doing well now after some criticism earlier. It's performing well when compared to other models and real-time observations. The model shows snow starting to fall in Louisiana, then moving into Mississippi and Alabama and continuing into southern Georgia and the Carolinas. As we move through midday and early afternoon, snow will intensify in southern Mississippi and Alabama, showing a sharp gradient of snow extending from southwest to northeast. Snow will already be falling by the time we hit 1 or 2 p.m. in areas like Montgomery and Atlanta. The big issue is that some areas will be on the dry side of the storm, and that could frustrate some winter weather fans. Hopefully, the snow band will shift a little further north than what's currently shown. In any case, this band of snow could lead to heavy snowfall rates, especially in areas like Mobile, the western panhandle of Florida, and southwest Georgia. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to stay informed, stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you tomorrow.